how the company that SpaceX challenged went bankrupt. Hello lovely YouTube family, welcome back to Nano 10s. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Today we will look at how the company that challenged SpaceX went bankrupt. The company is no other than Kistler Aerospace. Kistler Aerospace history. Kistler Aerospace was founded in Kirkland, Washington by Walter Kistler and Bob Citron in 1993 as a private company attempting to develop fully reusable vehicles, capable of Earth orbit at a minimal price. Rob Mayerson, who later became president of Blue Origin, was a senior manager at Kistler Aerospace from 1997 to 2003. The CEO was George Mueller, who previously had been a leader of NASA's Apollo program. In February 2006, Kistler was purchased by the majority owner of Rocketplane Limited Inc., a competing reusable, private spacecraft firm. However, Kistler Aerospace continued to operate until its closure under the name Rocketplane Kistler. Meanwhile, Rocketplane Limited changed its name to Rocketplane Global, with a third company, Rocketplane, set up as a parent company for the two. NASA launch partnership. In August 2006, NASA announced that Rocketplane Kistler had been chosen, along with SpaceX, to develop crew and cargo launch services, also known as Commercial Orbital Transportation Services, COTS, for the International Space Station. The plan called for demonstration flights between 2008 and 2010. Rocketplane Kistler would receive up to $207 million if they met all NASA milestones. In November 2006, Rocketplane Kistler and Alien Tech Systems announced that Alien Tech Systems would become the lead contractor for Rocketplane Kistler's K-1 launch vehicle. Unmet financial milestones in 2006 and 2007. In September 2006, Rocketplane Kistler began to miss financial milestones associated with the COTS agreement and requested and received from NASA a 30-day extension on the crossroads for completing its $40 million initial financings round. As a result, in February 2007, RPK renegotiated its COTS agreement, agreeing to raise the $500 million of required private financing before the end of May. By August 2007, RPK had failed to obtain that financing, forcing them to cut their workforce. On September 7, 2007, NASA notified Rocketplane Kistler that the COTS agreement would be terminated in 30 days due to the funding continued inability to meet its financial milestones. NASA announced in October 2007 that it had completed funding for the project. Retrenchment. Due to financial difficulties, the company had laid off most of its employees by February 2009 and consolidated business operations in Wisconsin, the home state of the company president. Rocketplane Inc., along with its subsidiaries, Rocketplane Kistler and Rocketplane Global, failed to deliver on promises to Oklahomans and financially broke, left the state in 2009. The company collected $18 million in state tax breaks, but its Rocketplane XB spacecraft never materialized. As a result, the company closed its Oklahoma City headquarters and relinquished its hangar at Burns Flat. Bankruptcy. On June 15, 2010, Rocketplane Inc. and its subsidiaries and its CEOs, George French, filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. After 17 years of attempted development, the bankruptcy paperwork for Rocketplane Kistler listed $108,250 in assets, including hardware and tooling for the K-1 rocket, as well as many unvalued patents and trademarks about the missile. Secured liabilities were claimed at $3.7 million, with unsecured liabilities listed at just under $3.7 million as well. Is NASA the reason for bankruptcy? What put Kistler in deep water in the first place was a combination of factors having nothing to do with NASA, including exponential cost growth on its K-1 rocket development effort, a sea change in Kistler's original target market, and sagging investor interest in commercial space projects. Moreover, when NASA tried to help, it was undercut by a procedural tactic employed against Kistler by one of its entrepreneurial cousins, Space Exploration Technologies Corp. (SpaceX), the rocket startup led by internet tycoon Elon Musk. NASA was not in Kistler's plans when the company came on the scene in 1993. On the contrary, the group of ex-NASA engineers and managers sought to keep their government ties to a bare minimum. Like most of the other entrepreneurial rocket companies that sprang up during the telecom boom, Kistler was targeting what looked like a ripe market for launching prominent constellations of communication satellites to low Earth orbit. It was only after that market began disappearing into the ether around the end of the 1990s that Kistler and many of its brethren came running to NASA. By that time, Kistler already had spent nearly $500 million on a project supposed to cost $250 million and still needed hundreds of millions of dollars more from a capital market that had all but dried up. NASA tried to help some of the rocket ventures along, making study money available under programs like the Space Launch Initiative to demonstrate to potential investors that it was interesting. Most significantly, NASA in 2004 awarded Kistler, which by that time was in bankruptcy, a $227 million contract for K-1 flight data, with the proviso that the company was on its own in terms of raising funds necessary to finish developing the vehicle that would eventually provide that data. How about SpaceX? That award prompted a protest by potential rival SpaceX, which argued that other companies should have competed to provide that data. NASA rescinded the award after it became clear that the Government Accountability Office would rule favor SpaceX. Musk's gripe was legitimate, and the episode illustrates the problem NASA faces when trying to nurture the commercial space sector. If the government is to be a detached buyer of services, as the entrepreneurial community demands, it has no business tilting the pre-game playing field in favor of one prospective provider. Even after the loss of the data contract, Teitelbaum elected to bring Kistler out of bankruptcy in anticipation of NASA's space station cargo delivery procurement. He threw in the towel after becoming fed up with the delays on NASA's end, but by that time, Kistler as a business was something akin to a death row inmate who had exhausted his appeals. A curious side note is that Kistler did not make any visible attempts to market the K-1 to the U.S. Defense Department, which has demonstrated a strong interest and a willingness to invest in low-cost access to space in recent years. All this is not to say that NASA has nothing to prove when it comes to tapping the kinds of innovative solutions that often are unavailable in traditional procurements, where rules, specifications, and old habits tend to stifle creativity and favor the big prime contractors. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any fantastic video from us.